Welcome to Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing, one of the fastest growing real estate investing podcasts in the world. What if you could learn from experienced real estate investors? Find out what got them to where they are now. Get insight into their daily habits and take these insights to inspire your own growth. Each episode, Jonathan Green shares an in-depth look at the mindful approach to real estate investing. Jonathan is a lifelong real estate investor and the founder of Streamline, a data-driven, investor-friendly, independent real estate brokerage located in Madison, New Jersey. Whether you're looking to start from scratch, get to the next level, or just for a straightforward and honest approach to real estate investing, this is the free mentorship program you can take with you anywhere. Now, here's Jonathan.
Thanks for showing up for another episode of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing. My guest today is Mikkel Thorup. What does he do? Expat Money. What is Expat Money? It's a movement of global expats. We're talking Plan B options, investing out of the country from another country. They are a movement intended to not only provide information, solutions, and ideas for would-be expats, but to bring people together who share the same values and ideas to network, socialize, and grow together. This is a really interesting show. Can't wait for you to hear it now. This is episode 281 of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing with my guest, Mikkel Thorup. Mikkel is the founder and CEO of Expat Money. He's the world's most sought-after expat consultant, focuses on helping high-net-worth private clients to legally mitigate tax liabilities, obtain a second residency and citizenship, that's the Plan B option, and assemble a portfolio of foreign investments. And these are different asset classes, so I'm excited. Mikkel, welcome to the show.
Pleasure's all mine, Jonathan. I'm excited to be here and hopefully inspire your audience a little bit and have a bit of fun talking about real estate in different countries, and should be a good conversation.
Yeah, I'm excited. And I mean, you've been doing this a long time, but I would think that the Plan B options and outside, especially for Americans, is becoming a little bit more interesting in the last couple of years.
Definitely. I mean, I'm from Canada. I left Canada 25 years ago to be an expat. And an expat's someone who lives in a foreign country with the expectation that they will either eventually go back to their home country or, in my case, move to another country. So I've lived in 9 different countries over the last 25 years. But yes, the last 5 years has been exceptionally busy for my work. I've been consulting professionally for 10 years now, but the last 5 years has been hectic. And even when I think it can't get any busier, it does. It's really, really crazy at the moment. So
yeah. And what was the lure for you that started you on the journey of not just leaving Canada, but kind of going on a exploration of the world?
So I left school at a very young age. I actually dropped out of school when I was 12 years old. I'm self-taught. I'm an autodidact. I completely finished school. Stopped going to school when I was 12, officially dropped out when I was 15, and started traveling internationally when I was 17, and started exploring the world and saw that there are many ways to learn things. And there is not only one path in life, like I was kind of told. And I met all these amazing people, and I thought, wow, this is like my people. Them's my peeps, and decided to dedicate my life to exploration and trying to understand the world and understanding different perspectives. And so that's what I've been doing. And I've been investing overseas for a very long time. As I mentioned before, I'm Canadian with Danish heritage. My wife is from mainland China. I met her in Germany. We got married in Africa. Our first child was born in Abu Dhabi, our second child in Brazil, our third child in Chile, and our fourth child in Mexico.
Oh, so wow. You're pulling up citizenships for them all over the place here.
Exactly. So they've all got multiple citizenships. My kids speak multiple languages. My wife and I own real estate in 10 different countries, and I still get a giant kick out of it. I still think it's the coolest, most fun thing that I can do is travel the world and explore and invest all over the place.
Yeah, and it's really a different version of diversification of assets too when you're talking about country investings, but it's very important for people to understand what's going on in the countries because you have political environments, you have friendly environments for some parts of the country, of the whole world, and some where it doesn't work as well. So, I mean, how did you start on the real estate journey? Like you already started, of course, traveling, but when did real estate become a part of that journey?
So it's interesting. I was actually very fortunate. When I was a child, my mother was actually a real estate agent and a real estate broker. So I kind of spent my weekends going to open houses and looking around at different properties to try to find some for her clients. And so my parents were real estate investors when I was growing up. They were doing fix and flip type of things. And then she was an agent. And then, so that kind of was the genesis for a lot of these things. Now, between then and now, I mean, I tried many different paths and many different techniques of investing internationally and many different ways of doing real estate. Now in my 40s, I found a good path that feels really good to me, where we're making good money, where we're helping clients, where we have a lot of control over the assets, that we're not getting into crazy debt or anything like that. I'm very allergic to huge mortgages on properties and things like that. Maybe we can talk a little bit about cash buying later on. But yeah, everything kind of started with my parents, and now 42 years old, I'm continuing on with these things.
Yeah, I mean, so I grew up with a dad who was an investor, so I was literally in rental properties from the time I was a baby, walking flips, foreclosures. Did you ask what happened with me? As I started getting older, I really realized I knew way more than other people about real estate. Even though I was doing other careers, I was a lawyer, I was in the art world, but I was always doing real estate because I just knew so much. But back then, I didn't think of myself as a real estate investor. I was just doing smart business. Was that the same for you?
Definitely. You know what? It's funny because I've been running my podcast, the Expat Money Show, for almost 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think I've ever done a podcast episode talking about like my real estate background, because I just didn't think it was very interesting. And then I talked to a client a couple months ago, and they're like, your parents were into real estate, they were doing fix and flips, and they were, you never thought to mention that? I'm like, yeah, but I mean, like, everybody's parents does that. And they're like, no, not everybody's parents did that.
Well, we get the benefits of this like osmosis learning. Like I remember doing my first flip when I was like 21. And then, I was like a live-in flip. I lived there 18 months, and then I sold it and I made 25 grand. This is like, in the 90s. And I was like, wait, this is what my dad was doing. Did you have that moment where you're like, wait, this is all the stuff that they were saying about real estate?
Well, so it's a little bit interesting because the way that I do it is so different than the way that my parents did it. And actually, even thinking back, the way that my grandparents did it. So they would always buy a place and then fix it up. And you can do really good on that, but you can also lose a lot of money. You can also spend way more than you should. It takes a lot of sweat equity, and you're really invested in the project. And if you don't get the buyer or the market softens, that's hugely problematic. So I kind of watched all of these types of things, that and some other instances that happened in my life where I saw debt used incorrectly. And that was like a big red flag for me. So I don't do any of those things now. I really focus on new builds, pre-construction, smaller units, and I kind of do the opposite. But it's like I didn't need to learn difficult lessons because I watched it all in my childhood. Yes, they had some massive successes, but there were some problems as well. So I have that wisdom that my parents imparted with me.
Yeah, and it also seems like you were not just allergic to the debt, but allergic to this kind of, I guess, more risky behavior. Like, I feel like real estate is always about educated risk and risk mitigation and what you're comfortable with. Because, of course, investing in other countries has inherent risk. But you obviously put a lot of time in traveling to figure out how to mitigate the risks and understand where the scale is, which when I know we're going to get to new construction, of course, the big boon is you can buy early at a much cheaper price. By the time it even goes into production, you're already up money in most areas.
100%. And you have to understand that I'm not investing only as Mikkel Thorup, the individual. We have a huge community of people who work with us.
Yeah.
So I'm traveling around the world. Like, Jonathan, I literally got to make up my job. Okay. This is my job. I'm gonna paint you a picture of what I do for a living. Okay. I travel around the world. I look at real estate projects, and then I take calls with cool people and talk about investing internationally and how to get residencies on the back end and how to structure it securely. That's my job. That's what I do for a living.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I love
That's
it.
like when someone asks you, hey, why do you have a podcast? They ask me the same thing. I'm like, because I can talk to real estate investors for an hour, learn stuff that I didn't know, and just have conversations with cool people. You're getting to do this all the time as part of the business. And then the benefit of doing it out in terms of what you're doing in the consulting is then you can see the success they're having, and then they can build on that success. And then they can help others in the community build on that success, which I know is so important.
Exactly. And to answer your actual original question about the risk, you have to understand, as I said, I'm not just investing as Mikkel. So when I go to a developer, and these are long-standing relationships I have with people, and they know my reputation and what we're able to do, I'll walk in, I'll view a project and be like, okay, great, I'll take the building. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I will take the building. Like, how many units? 117 units? Great. We'll take 117 units. Or we'll take the first 50% of the building, but I want these stipulations, this schedule of fees. I want this price point, these discounts, yada, yada, yada. And, anybody who's, I mean, you have a really amazing audience, and a lot of people know a lot about real estate, but maybe my particular way of doing real estate, they might not see all the time.
Yeah.
But for pre-construction, the most risky thing is the developer doesn't hit their sales. If they don't hit their sales, they don't have enough capital to be able to build the building. And now they need to go out there and do a construction loan or a bridging loan or something like that. And there's interest payments. That's where you get into trouble. But with a community like ours, when we come in and we're like, all right, we'll take the first 50% of the building, which is usually somewhere 50, 60% is how much sales they need to hit to make the building viable. There's no profit for them built in there, but at least they have enough money to build the units. So by buying as a group, we've basically eliminated that downside risk because the sales are done. So we negotiate quite hard. Now they can go on the back end, the developer, and sell to Keller Williams or Remax or whatever, on the, at delivery, and they can jack up the prices. That's fine. I don't care about that.
That also helps you and everybody who got in early. And that's really the genius of it. Not only do you get a discount on the way in, you help them get it off. So even if you buy half, now they're going to put up the prices 2x of what you paid. Great for you. Exactly. Now you guys are all worth 2x. So you have built-in equity that just comes over the cash that you put in.
Exactly. And now when you take what I said plus what you said, and then add into the fact that usually during the time of construction, we're only putting down 30% of the sale price of the unit. So you can, with that 30%, you can literally double your money or more. Like we usually see between 30% and 50% capital appreciation between contract signing and delivery of the unit. Which is delivery time for us is 18 to 30 months. Okay. Yeah. So if you're only putting 30% down and you're seeing 30 to 50% on the total sale price, you've doubled or almost tripled your money in 24 months. Yeah. And you have a tangible asset there at a brand new building, which is under warranty. So if there's any problems with the unit, the developer has to pay to have it fixed. It works really well.
I mean, that's risk mitigation. I actually saw when I moved to Sarasota, I don't know, like 15 years ago, and the downtown was really developing, and these pre-sales were going on, and no one really understood what was happening. And a lot of people were doing, on a small scale, what you're saying, they were buying in early. A lot of people were selling off before construction because they had gotten the 2x. They would sell off, and then that person would still get another 2x later. So there's a lot of modified scale in there for people who obviously have to be comfortable waiting, but you get the benefit of, you said, 30% down on your money, and you could be up 2x, and you could get out or wait and then really hit it.
Yep. I have some investors in my community who will buy 3, 4, 5 units. They'll keep a couple of them. They'll flip the paper at delivery. Yeah. And basically the units they keep are free. So they just acquiring, more assets. And I believe that is, like, in my not so humble opinion, I think this is the best way to invest, is to buy tangible assets, which are going to cash flow, productive real estate, have no debt on them, and just build assets over assets over assets. Not mucking around in the stock market and some hot stock tip, maybe goes up, maybe goes down, change interest rates, this happens. I don't want anything to do with that. When I married my wife, and as I said before, she's from China. When I married her, she said, honey, you can invest in anything you want in the world, anything you want, as long as it is gold or real estate. I was like, okay, perfect. So our whole portfolio is gold and real estate. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, assets are really an important thing. I invest in stocks. I do it through index funds because I feel like I can just watch the cycle go and I don't need that money. But I've always been called myself an asset hunter because I'm very focused on having an asset when it comes to something tangible. Like you said, real estate, not only do you get land a lot of the time, you're having a house. In these, you're talking development. So you own a portion of the land and obviously a portion of the building, and the common areas are taken care of. So there's a lot of mitigation in there that can protect you. But also, you need somebody like you who's on there who understands the regulations to guide you, because, we could have somebody listing as, oh, great, cool, I'll just go invest in Panama. No, pump the brakes. Like, you need to know what you're doing in each of these areas. And that's
100%.
where you come in to go do all the back research, build the developments, build the relationships with the developments and developers, and understand, like, hey, where's the scale for our money here? Is this part of the area going up, and why? Because that's what I think is really the important thing. And that's how, of course, you want to make the whole community happy that way.
Yep, 100%, 100%.
Yeah. So when you first got started, where was the first place that you invested? And then how did you start to go on this journey while you're invested in 10 different countries, which just is cool in and of itself?
So I was living in the Middle East. I lived in Abu Dhabi for almost a decade.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I've lived all over the world, and I lived in Abu Dhabi and Dubai for almost a decade. And we were traveling from there, and we were traveling out and trying to invest. I tried to invest in Australia at some point. Actually, I lived in Australia for 3 years, from 2006 to 2009, and then I was traveling back to Brisbane because Brisbane saw this huge boom, 12 years ago. We looked at investing in London. We were trying to buy a place in Abu Dhabi, so I had a couple of false starts.
Yeah,
but we bought a place in China. We have 3 places in China with my wife, and nowadays we're mostly invested in Panama, where I live now. I have a huge portfolio in Paraguay. Very, very bullish on Paraguay. I can't say enough amazing things about Paraguay, and I have met the government there. I've met the president of Paraguay on multiple occasions and consulted with them about immigration and bringing foreign direct investment and expats to the country.
Yeah.
We're investing a little bit in Brazil. We've got some projects in Colombia. I've done some stuff in Turkey in the past. I mean, that's not for the faint of heart, but I've been there, I like to test things out. I'm okay with taking risks with my own money and going into new markets, but with clients' money, I'm ultra conservative. But lots of fun jurisdictions. And I like to invest in countries that I like to travel to. So I love going to Brazil and to Colombia and to Paraguay. And I think those are wonderful places. And we have a home in Turkey. We go 3 times a year. That's our base in that part of the world. And I speak on stage at conferences in Europe every year, 3-4 conferences. So now we've got a home there. So there's a method to the madness on why I chose these countries.
Yeah, and when you're talking with your community, how important is the Plan B aspect for people? Because I know Panama is extremely friendly. Things are changing, but Panama's always been a spot where a lot of people, definitely from America, I'm not sure outside, are looking for Plan B. And I believe Paraguay is pretty friendly as well in that aspect. Some of the other areas are a little bit different. You have to contribute in different ways. But how important has that been when you're talking to other people? Of course, it's based on their goals, but just across the board, how much is Plan B a part of it?
Well, with my clients, it's a very big part of it. They're not just searching for returns. They are, but they want a little bit something extra.
Yeah.
So if we can get them a permanent residency on the back end, or we can use, an offshore bank account, or we can structure things internationally, you have to have a bit of a desire to see the world and to travel. We run investors trips every couple of months, next 2-3 weeks. We're doing one in Brazil. We've got one to Colombia later this year. We've got Paraguay. So you have to have a bit of an adventurous soul to you. Yeah. If you just want to stay in your backyard and not look farther than your gate, then maybe this is not for you. But the Plan B for my clients is a benefit, not a negative.
Yeah, and for the listeners, Plan B is obviously that alternative option to get either residency or some type of long-term citizenship. And each country has a different opportunity. And Correct. Again, this is where you come in to say, this is what you need to do. You either need to plunk money into an account. Sometimes you can buy real estate, and then you have to maybe go once or twice a year. It's all different. I've heard all of the stories, but it's very interesting to know that there are places that you can go where you can establish a second residency just as a what if, or like you said, this is just an exploration of life type of thing like you've done.
100%. That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. And how important was the citizenship for you? Because you said you have 4 kids, they're all born in different countries, but that comes with citizenship. And I know a lot of people who do this as well, and they're like, yeah, this is really an important part of the journey as well.
So the way that I think about it is a gift to future generations because it's not just my children. You have to
Yeah,
understand all of these countries will, when they have kids, when I have grandkids, it will get passed on to them.
yeah, that's
And it ends up benefiting us as the parents and the siblings as well. So let's take, say, Brazil, for example. My second child was born in Brazil. And we were in Florianopolis in the south of the country on an island, super duper safe, gorgeous, right on the water, amazing place. And we came in a couple of months before. My wife gave birth. We paid private for everything. So it was a couple $1,000s. It was a fraction of the cost back that we would have paid back home.
yeah,
And had a natural birth and had our own doctor. And it was a great experience. And now my son is a Brazilian. And because I'm the legal guardian of a Brazilian citizen, I can apply what's called the family reunification visa, which is an instant permanent residency. And then if I'm a permanent resident for, I think technically 1 year, but in reality 2 years, I
yeah.
can now get my citizenship. And then my son's siblings, my other children, can also get citizenship. So it's a gift for the whole family. We liked it so much that we actually started a new company called My Birth Abroad. So if you guys go to mybirthabroad.com, you'll see that we end up doing citizenship for clients around the world. And, you need to think ahead, but it's not
Yeah.
too much work, actually. We make it very, very streamlined with these things. So our newest child is, I don't know, just a couple of months old, and she was born in Mexico. We showed up in Mexico. The authorities wouldn't like this. We showed up 4 days before the baby was born.
Wow. Yeah.
My
But
wife was
you had
38
it planned
weeks
out
pregnant.
as this is what we're going to do. But yeah, that's kind of
Correct.
pretty close.
It was pretty close. We actually had to get permission from the doctor because we were a bit worried the baby would come early. So once the doctor signed on, okay, baby is full term, which is 37 weeks, then now you can go. Took us 2 days or 3 days to get organized. We traveled at about 38 weeks, and the baby was born at 38 weeks full term. Healthy baby, healthy delivery. Our doctor, quick side story, the doctor in Mexico that we had, she was like 74 years old. She'd been a doctor for 50 years, and
Wow.
she had been delivering babies for like 45 years or something like that. She came in from the gym in her sports clothes and was like so fit. And she's like, okay, you ready to do this? I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And we had, and she was amazing. And we just had a great experience all around.
Yeah. I mean, it's just something so interesting for people to think about and plan for because, real estate investing as a whole, we do a lot of episodes on multifamily and commercial assets, but this is a whole nother beast. And it's really a part lifestyle choice as well. But you can also, again, like I said in the beginning, this is again another part of diversification. A lot of people talk about asset diversification and American geography, diversification, but this has a lot of different things to it that can, because you're scaling with another country's economy a lot of the times, which is really interesting. And if you have a diversified portfolio, if one of those countries isn't doing so well and your reduces there, maybe one of your other countries is going up. Is this part of the bigger plan for those people who want to get into multiple countries?
Definitely. And you have to understand on the diversification side, we're also diversifying in currencies.
Yeah,
we might be investing with US dollars or euros or Great British pounds, but we're buying in at pesos. So now we see a geo arbitrage between the different currencies. Now, when the property starts cash flowing, we're receiving funds in currencies which we believe will go up.
Yeah.
So we're looking at that. We're watching the geopolitics. On my team, I end up actually having a PhD student, actually not student, a PhD graduate who did his thesis on geopolitics, and he helps watch the geopolitics. So he's one of the analysts on my team. We've got about 30 people that work for my company, Expat Money. So, we're watching the geopolitics. And then there is diversification in time because, as I said, deliveries are anywhere from 18 months to 30 months. Okay, now next month we've got 2 properties developing. Next quarter, we've got another 3 or 4. So these are staggered out in time. So some have to get Some we're breaking ground on, some of the walls are going up, some of the roof's going on. Other ones were already delivered. Okay, we need to furnish them. Now it's being rented out. Some are long-term short, some are mid, some are short. Some are beach and seasonal, some are in the mountains, some are in the cities, and it's year-round. Some are, so it's like we play with the diversification within the real estate sphere, but there's a lot of variety in there.
Hey, it's Jonathan. I hope you're enjoying this expat show with Mikkel Thorup. And if you're interested in this type of idea, wherever you live, if you're thinking you might want to explore Plan B residencies, instant citizenships, or investing out of the country, Expat Money is a great place to start. Go to expatmoney.com. In the top right, you'll see a button that says Work with Us. You can also download a free report right on the homepage. Let's get back to the show. What you were saying about the PhD for the geopolitical aspect seems so important to me because right now, I mean, the world is just in flux. There's so many different things going on, and we're not really seeing that that's going to calm down anytime soon. So it is a really important part of portfolio management and of new areas to really see where the geopolitical risks are, because that can, of course, affect money, citizenship, and all the things. So talk a little bit about that, how important it is to just be monitoring that all the time, especially when you're spread out in all these different countries and how the countries play with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to understand that I specialize in tax-free or low-tax countries. So I'm not necessarily watching the geopolitics of every country and every country's relation to one another. I work in, the extended list is probably around 20 or 22 different countries. But of those, I have about a core 6 countries that I actively work in. Yeah. And once I find an area that I like with the geopolitics that I like with the economics and the administration, the government of the country. Now I'm looking for the right lawyers, the right developers, the right property managers, project managers, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's like a ring, and we're going deeper and deeper and deeper. Now we're constantly monitoring the local politics and the geopolitics of the country and region. But that's from studying, online and reading and watching. On top of that, I'm actively visiting these places on a regular basis. Okay, so I've been to 120 countries right now, but most countries I've been to, I go often. I go a lot of times. Yeah. Like 2 weeks ago, I was back in Colombia. I left Friday afternoon and I came home on Sunday afternoon, and Monday morning I was back at work. But I spent all weekend with a family office that I work with there. They have a property management and property development side of their business, and we're building a hotel project there together. Their clients took half the building. My clients took half the building. Completely off-market club deal. Yeah. General public does not get access to it, only paying members of our community. And so I went to go and see the project and walk everything, A couple months ago, I went back down to Brazil. I left Panama City at 6 p.m. on a Friday, flew 7.5 hours business class down to Sao Paulo, 5 hours on ground, then 4 hours north to Fortaleza. My partner picked me up at noon on the Saturday. We drove around all day long, looking at plots of land, looking at everything, had a nice dinner, crashed out by 9 p.m. Next day, all day again. And then at 5 p.m., he dropped me off at the airport, 4.5 hour flight to Sao Paulo, 5 hours on ground, 7.5 hours flight back to Panama. 6 a.m., I landed, and 7 a.m. I was back in the office. Yeah. So I'm constantly doing these things on whatever time that I have, on the weekends, during the week. And that is a huge part of the value proposition. We do the academic study of things. Yeah. We know the politicians. Like I said, we actually sit with the ministers and get direct information. And then I'm going out there and viewing things and pounding the pavement and walking the sites myself and seeing what I heard, what I was told, and what I saw. Is there congruency between these three things?
Yeah, I think that's so important because obviously the news is a conglomeration of what they want to air, what's going to scale. So you can think there's a lot of stuff going on in some area, just say Panama, and then you go there and it's nothing like what you would see in mainstream American news at all, completely different. Correct. And that also gives people a level of trust to know, hey, wait, you were just there, you know these people, we've seen it, we've watched the videos. I think that's really important because there's so much kind of out there on social and in courses about about selling things and getting people to get in. But a lot of those people aren't doing that boots on the ground work. And I think that's really a failure, especially the way we both grew up, walking, seeing our parents look at properties. Like, I still do that. And you're still doing it. You're just doing it all over the place. But even locally, I think people are failing by just not seeing enough places, not getting enough reps at looking at properties. And if they're doing it, passively or investing actively through you, they still want to know, hey, somebody's there doing it. We can see the pictures, because it's just, we're living in a world where AI could create something that looks like someone's there. But when someone's visited 120 countries, you can't really fake it.
Yeah. And I mean, I'd be very cautious of anybody who is like, hey, don't worry about it, Jonathan. You don't need to see it. It's fine. Just trust me. Just trust me.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'd be running for the door.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. I'm like, come on, guys, we're doing a tour. I bring in 25, 30 investors. These are high net worth individuals.
Yeah.
We do investment tours literally every quarter. So I'm like, come on a tour. I'm hosting the tour myself. You're going to meet the developers. You're going to meet the bankers. You're going to meet the notary and the lawyer and the accountant. You're going to hear a presentation. We have a big breakfast in the morning. We do presentations until noon, a big lunch, and then we go and walk the projects all afternoon. And we're going around and seeing everything. Now, you guys are smart guys. Like, you have experience. You see with your own eyes. Does this make sense or does it not make sense?
Yeah.
And now you make an informed decision about these things.
Yeah, and you can balance the financial and tax benefits also with the emotional, like, hey, this is like, I want to have my kid in this country, and this looks like a great potential for 2 years down. And you can start planning, not just tax planning, but you can, as we were saying with the births, you start planning out your life on how to do it. I think it's a really interesting idea. And as we were saying, it's especially important for those who are more adventurous and want to have those opportunities, because it can just give you so much more. You're not just traveling, you're traveling with a purpose, and then you're creating a legacy, as you said, that could benefit generations from beyond, when none of us know what's going to happen in 100 years. But if your kids have a couple different citizenships, that's helpful.
100%. What often happens with a lot of my clients is I work as a consultant, so I get paid to give advice.
Yeah.
And I am constantly pushing my clients to come and meet me, to come and visit me, or I'll go visit them, or come and join me for a trip. What often happens, Jonathan, is a client will come on a trip with me. We'll spend 7, 8 days, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, touring, flights, everything. We charter planes, we go and look at the sites and everything like that. And now they get it. Now they feel very comfortable.
Yeah.
And now the second deal, maybe they don't travel to
Right.
go see the second
Right.
deal or the third deal or the fourth deal. But I still think that there's something magical about seeing it yourself and shaking the people's hands and getting to know them. I know you can't do it on every single deal, but at least if you could make an effort at least one time, I think it'll pay dividends throughout your life.
Yeah, and you want to get the trust factor of seeing what it's like. Like you said, I mean, yeah, would it be nice to see the whole development? But you feel like, hey, we've already gone through the cycle. It's not like you're going to go from Panama to Paraguay, and then in Paraguay, it's going to be all fake. Like, it's the same process. So at least you can kind of follow along and see. And I guess for a lot of people, they do plan on going there. They just don't need to go in that original phase for the tour,
Yep.
but they're looking forward to when it's built and when they can get there and use it.
It's an interesting, you should point that out, because I would say maybe not a half, maybe a third of the people who come on the trips have already invested in one of our projects there. And they're coming 6 months or a year later because they just want to see what they bought,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
every single time it exceeds expectations. I've never, ever, 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 in running dozens of trips of investors tours, I have never had anyone go, that's it? Or that's what I bought? Like, everyone's like, oh my God, this is 10 times nicer than the photos. They can't believe how beautiful it is.
I think that partially goes to international investing, because I think in America, you can be disappointed with the project when you see it, because it's just the cost to develop outside and the expertise that goes on in other countries is much different, and at least from what I know, than America. So I'm not surprised that people are like, are you serious? Like, this is unbelievable, because there's just such scale. And a lot of these developments can really help change and add to the trajectory of that part of the country, which then becomes another exciting part of the investment, especially if you're using it as an expat and saying like, hey, we're participating and becoming, pushing this area up.
Well, I'll give you context. The projects that I'm investing in today, currently, we're buying single family homes in front row on the beach for about 100,000 US. That's the land, the development, everything, 100 grand on the most beautiful beaches in the northeast of Brazil. Like stunning, incredible, like blow your mind how gorgeous these beaches are. I got married in the Seychelles, okay? I got married on the beach with my feet in the sand with no shoes. I love a good beach, okay? And these beaches are amazing. And for 100 grand US, you'll own the property free and clear. And in my experience, you're going to see probably like my first property there, I have cash flow at about 1% a month. Call it, even with the down cycles, about 10% annually in year one. Usually we're counting from year 3 because that's when you've got, a good track record and the history and the reviews and the nice photos and everything like that. But 10% cash flow year 1. I paid $97,000 for my unit. I put $2,000 in closing costs and $10,000 in furniture package. Okay. That was 2.5 years ago for the one I'm thinking of. The unit next to me just sold last month for 196. No, I'm sorry, 193 with no furniture. Okay. So it's doubled its money in 2.5 years. And I cash flow for 18 months at just under 1% monthly. That's crazy. Like, where are you going to get that? I'm not going to get that in Toronto. I promise you that.
There's
no way.
That's part of the knowledge scale of what to do. I wanted to ask you a question, though, because I saw something just a couple of weeks ago that there was, like, in Mexico, there was some backlash against expat living. Are you running up against that in other countries now where people don't understand what it's for or they don't appreciate it? Because I'm sure it comes up in certain areas and maybe you avoid those areas.
So I have seen it around the world. We're very cautious about these things. This is the perception of how foreigners are viewed in the country. I'll give you 2 examples of this. So as I said before, I lived in Abu Dhabi. I lived in Abu Dhabi and Dubai from 2011 to 2019. During that time, I saw oil at $100 a barrel, and I saw oil at like $40 a barrel. And I can tell you, they view expats very differently in these 2 scenarios. It went from parades on the streets celebrating all these amazing people to come in and build the country to literally spitting on you when you walk down the road. Okay. It was a huge difference. Well, I didn't want to be in an environment where I was no longer welcome. Okay. We're now seeing things like this in Portugal, in Spain, where the government has bad policies, okay, very bad policies that make it impossible for a developer to go in and do new builds. There's too much bureaucracy, there's too much tax, there's too many problems. So now they can't increase the supply of units. So foreigners are coming in, and at the same time, they have an immigration process saying that you can buy real estate. So foreigners come in with foreign direct investment. They buy up real estate and they fix it up. Well, now the prices have gone up and the locals, they can't afford it anymore. So instead of the government being an adult in the room and saying, hey, we're going to ease regulation or we're going to encourage developers to do new builds, they instead point the finger at the foreigner who took advantage of the program that the government put in play because they needed foreign currency reserves because of bad policies. So it's this downward spiral and not taking ownership or personal responsibility for their actions and vilifying people who actually bring in non-tax dollars into the country. This is mental. This is insane. So I don't participate in things like this. I don't have any investments in Portugal. I've been actively pushing people away from Portugal, Spain, things like this. I left the UAE eventually, but here in Panama, open for business. Paraguay, let me tell you, open for business. These guys want foreign direct investment, very much so.
And that's probably an important part of what you're looking for your community, because Portugal used to be very high on the list for Plan B. But now it's important to know that.
It was with other people. If you look at my 10-year track record of email writing, we have an extremely large newsletter with running a daily newsletter for 10 years.
Oh, daily.
Our blogs, our podcasts, everything like that. I have never, ever, ever promoted Portugal. And I'll tell you why. They had what was called a golden visa program. So you only had to spend 7 days in the country per year. And after 5 years, the program said that they would give you citizenship. And I went, No way.
Doesn't sound right.
No, what a load of baloney.
Yeah.
You don't know the history. You can't speak the language. You have no general connections. You're only spending a week there a year. And you think after 5 years, they're going to make you a citizen of an EU country with visa-free access to the rest of the Schengen zone. So with that Portuguese, you can go and live in Germany or Italy or somewhere else.
Yeah.
No way. No way. Well, it just came out. So this program has been running for a number of years. It just came out last month. They now want to change it from 5 years to 10 years. So they're moving the goalpost.
Yeah.
So they changed it from the golden visa being able to invest in real estate. Now it has to be a real estate fund, which is a bunch of crap. I have no idea what's inside these funds.
That's unbelievable difference. Yeah.
That's a huge difference. Like, you have no transparency what's inside this, okay?
Yeah.
So they got rid of that. Then they kicked people out of Lisbon. So you could invest, but it couldn't be in Lisbon, which is the capital. It's not like the US where there's so many big cities, you know?
Yeah.
And then they got rid of the non-habitual tax residency. So people used to be able to remit funds to the country at a discounted tax rate of only 20% instead of paying income tax of 45%. So they had all these people move there. And then they canceled the non-habitual tax residency. And now they're moving the goalpost on the naturalization from 5 years to 10 years. And I called it. I was going, there's no way. So I don't participate in things like this.
Yeah, I don't know if you know, but do you feel that way about the parts of Italy that are, a lot of the things look a little bit too good to be true for me? Like, hey, you can get in for, 90 grand, do a reno, and then you can get citizenship if you go there, for 30 days once a year. It's something like that.
So the big one in Italy they had was buy a home for €1. And then it was like in this random town, but then you had, I think it was 12 to 24 months to do a rehab, which ended up costing a lot more. And then there was all these regulations because they were heritage homes. You couldn't just do a tear down and build from scratch. I did an interview on that, an episode 5 or 6 years ago. I didn't participate because I love spending time in Italy. It's a beautiful place, but I don't want to be a tax resident there. And then they had a flat tax of €100,000. And then when the UK canceled their non-habitual tax residency, Italy started getting a lot of the people. So what did Italy do? They doubled the flat tax to €200,000. Yeah. So it was like, well, if they can just flip a switch and double the tax whenever they want, that's not very stable. Where I invest, say, in Panama, where I'm sitting today, it's a territorial tax country. That's done at the constitutional level. So no new administration's coming in and changing the tax system here. The tax is handled at the constitutional level. Look at the challenges of changing any constitutional things in the US. It's the same here. So, it's not just some administration. You know what? Now it's 200,000. Now it's 500,000 euros. Now it's €1,000,000, and you've moved your life there. That shows no respect to the investors at all.
Yeah. Awesome. As we get this wrapped up, before we get where everybody can get in touch with you, just give us kind of like the top 3 places for anyone, just in general. If they don't live in that country, where would be your top 3 places that are super friendly for out-of-country investors right now, assuming they all have similar goals, potential lifestyle, ad tax benefits?
Okay, the big one for Americans is Costa Rica. Everybody loves Costa Rica.
Yeah.
People go crazy for Costa Rica. It's not the cheapest, and I don't think it's the best, but it's an easy entry into investing internationally because they have good tax laws there. There's a lot of product out there. It's okay. I'm not saying don't work with a professional. You need to work with a professional. But I think that's a good, easy step. If you want something maybe a little bit more adventurous and definitely a higher step in stability and better returns and more, I would come to Panama. I'd say that Panama beats Costa Rica on every single metric you could look at, with the exception of marketing. Costa Rica is amazing at marketing their tourism. They're those guys are awesome. They're fantastic. I want to hire them to come work for my company. Those guys are great. But Panama beats Costa Rica on everything. So I'd say that's a step up. And then if you want to be really adventurous and you're looking for more of a frontier market, but still want the food, water, energy independent, the low tax, right-leaning, pro-business type of government, then I'd be looking at Paraguay. Yeah. And we're doing a ton of work in Paraguay. We actually started a separate newsletter called Paraguay Potential. So it's paraguaypotential.com. We do twice monthly newsletters. We're helping clients buy condo units for $65,000 for a 1-bedroom, $75,000 for a 2-bedroom. And those things are cash flowing at 9% on long-term rentals on day one. I mean,
wow,
they're insane.
long-term. Wow. Okay.
On long-term.
Yeah.
And it's going up from there in year 3 onwards.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. Yeah, I really appreciate it. This has been a great episode. Before we hop off, I want to make sure everybody knows where to find you. Is the best place for people to find you is to start at expatmoney.com?
Definitely. Expatmoney.com is our main website. We have links to everything else we were talking about. You can also check out our podcast, The Expat Money Show. We've done close to 400 episodes. We've been going for 9 years, something like that. And a lot of good guests and a lot of solo episodes. So there's tons of things on there. But I mean, go to expatmoney.com and sign up for the newsletter, or go on your favorite podcasting app and find the podcast.
Yeah, and you have a big YouTube as well. And just before we go on, just tell them about the events, because I was watching a video of one of the events and I was really impressed, and it really looked like a good community of people all with the same goals.
Yeah, so at expatmoney.com, you'll find that we do quarterly trips. So we did 2 trips to Paraguay this year. We did a trip to Brazil. We have one to Colombia. Those are 25 to 30 investors. Everybody is welcome to come, whether you're a paying member of the community or a free subscriber. Then we have an online summit happening in Q4 of the year. If you go to expatmoneysummit.com, you can get a free ticket to that. We're doing only Latin America first this year. Usually we do worldwide. This is our 5th time running the summit. We get between somewhere around 8,000 people a year who attend the online summit.
Awesome.
And then in March 6th and 7th, we're doing our Wealth, Freedom, and Passport Conference live in Panama City, 2026, March 6th and 7th. Last year we had about 200 people live in Panama for that. It's a 2-day event. We're expecting probably 300, 350 people to fly in for that one.
Great.
And it's tons of fun. We eat so much food and go and see projects and get together and network. And you're going to meet lots of really good families. If you got kids, they're super duper welcome. I mean, I'm very big for family. Like, our whole community is family focused.
It's awesome.
So, you'll see kids running around, and we do workshops with the kids. We've got the nannies and the domestic help to help take care of the kids, so you can focus, and they'll get to play with the other kids. There's a lot of cool things, and that is easy if you just go to expatmoney.com, and you'll find the links to the conference there too.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, I really appreciate it. Great spending the time with you. Definitely look forward to staying in touch so I can figure out some expat money of my own. So thanks so much.
100%. Jonathan, thank you so much for the opportunity. Pleasure to be here and talk with your audience today.
Absolutely. That was Mikkel Thorup. He is the founder of Expat Money. Again, go to expatmoney.com. You can find everything you need there. I would encourage you to sign up for the newsletter. I'm about to do it right as we end this. So thanks so much. I'm Jonathan Green. We'll see you next episode. Thanks for sticking around to the end so you can get a preview of who's coming up on episode 282 of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing. And it's John Azar, the founder and CEO of Peak 15 Capital. They're a capital advisory and syndication firm servicing commercial real estate operators and sponsors in identifying, sourcing, and securing their capital stack. So we got a syndication show, and as I always say, they're all different because it starts where they started. See you next episode with John.